snowball of positivity. And, you know, you're changing your trajectory.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to old Bro Rogan as well. And when he was talking with Justin Wren about, you know, Justin was talking about the struggles that he was going through and, you know, how he nearly, you know, killed himself with drugs in Mexico. Like, this is one of the most altruistic people on earth. Like, he's traveled over to, you know, build wells for pygmies in the Congo for 10 years, living with these people and doing so much to help them. You know, but, and he's a world-class MMA fighter, you know, like, he's got all these things going for him, you know, but those little nagging thoughts in the back of his head, you know, eventually created the momentum that shifted him from the positive into the negative, you know, and,
but just,
you know,
think about like why he's doing that. And it's, if you really think about why anyone does anything, like, it's kind of got a selfish undertone to everything that you do in life. Like, he gets so much more out of that, like helping the pygmies or whatever you said. He gets so much more out of that than the actual people he's helping. It's just, it's the easiest way to feel better about yourself is just help someone else. Yes. Yeah. Service.
Yeah. No, I don't think we can underline that.
You have to highlight it and underline it and circle it.
Yeah.
And then mark the page.
Exactly.
And then cut out the page and put it up on your mirror so you can see it every day.
You know, just that whole, if you want to change you, start with thinking about how you can help others.
Yeah.
You know, and the changing you will come. I mean, you guys have seen it, you know, especially like you, John, you help people every day, like meet their fitness goals, you know, you know, and Shane, you know, Shane's out there on the forefront, you know, for, you know, TBI and recovery and, you know, like trying to bring positivity to a very hard and serious, you know, condition that people are struggling with, you know, so, you know, and I think that both of you kind of understand that, you know, helping other people, you've learned so much more about yourself than you ever could if it was just, you know, if you were an energy vacuum instead of, you know, instead of letting your energy go.
100%.
You know,
I want to point out something. So I have another story about suicide. I had a friend who's actually a bandmate. I was in a death metal band, literally death metal. The name of our band was Eknoctum, which means entering darkness. And we had a song called Raising the Dead. That's how, I mean, it was pretty dark.
Pretty
stuff.
hardcore.
And before I changed my life, and our guitarist, Jordan Burton, I wonder if his family would ever listen to any of this, but he was the youngest in the band. And he ended up committing suicide, and there was
At what age?
He was only 18.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was about 20, and it was rough. It was a really rough time because all of us were struggling with stuff. We were all addicted to drugs, and you know, we're doing all crazy things. And I remember getting the feeling multiple times to hang out with him more, and I didn't. And I carried a little bit of guilt for a while. So I want to I mean, after he did it, even at the funeral, I remember talking to his mom at the funeral, and his mom was like, she's like, "Oh yeah, John, the bassist," because I played bass, and she's like, "Man, he loved you so much. He always wanted to hang out with you more." And dude, that just made it even worse.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I felt super guilty
would.
that if I had hung out with him more, aside from our dark band, I could have done more for him, you know?
That's a rough road to
go
down.
Oh, and it was for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a good 6-month stint afterwards where I was it threw me into a depression. And I was like, dude, I could have saved this kid. And then if you are somebody listening to this and you've been on that side, you can't change that. You can't go back and change what you didn't do. No. But you can now focus on, hey, listen to those promptings.
What you can do for other people.
What you can do. Exactly. Yeah. So now, I mean, I dedicate, anytime I get that feeling where I need to call somebody, I need to, contact someone or help somebody, I do it right away. And
you should.
Yeah. So if you feel that way, let go of the guilt because it's not yours. They chose what they chose. And now you can move on and just be a service and a light to other people.
Yeah. Oh, and maybe through, and this is maybe a crazy way to look at it, but maybe through their sacrifice, you now understand how important
that's right
doing that is.
Yeah. Think of the amount of people you can reach and tell that to. That's what always where my brain goes, because like I think about helping people like 24/7, and so I just want to figure out ways that I can help people better and make more of an impact on people's lives.
And you're doing it.
Yeah.
You really are doing it, Shane.
Yeah, every day,
Yeah.
Well, maybe one thing I can, share to help people is, kind of what to look for. If everything's ambiguous and you don't know what you're looking for, it's hard to find, right?
It really is.
But if you know what something looks like, you can associate that in your mind and come up with a plan. So like some immediate warning signs and red flags for people who are at risk. And again, this isn't one time I did this thing or, I have this one, personality trait or characteristic,
it's consistently,
these things combining together. If you start to see these things coming together, that's a sure sign that you need to intervene. You need to pay more attention to that person and try to get them the help that they need. First and foremost, which is pretty obvious, is making a plan. If you hear that somebody has a plan to commit suicide, they definitely need help. I know that sounds obvious, but take them at their word.
Yeah. If they're talking about it, even joking about it, you might want to,
frequent talking, writing, or drawing about death. Reckless behavior without the worry of the consequences.
Sure.
Violent behavior, like constantly being aggressive, fighting, self-harm, rage, uncontrolled anger, and obsessions with revenge.
Man, all of this sounds like me at age 19.
I agree. Like I totally agree. It sounds like any maladjusted 19-year-old boy.
Yeah, right.
Tempting fate. So having a death wish, riding fast motorcycles and, on the freeway at 200 miles an hour and just not caring. Giving away prized possessions, like if Shane were to one day come to me and be like, hey, Doug, I need to make sure that Hank, has a nice place to live. Do you mind taking him or whatever? I would be like, wait a second.
Yeah. What are you planning?
Like Hank is like one of the most important things. I know that about Shane, that it's one of his most important things. Yep. Why would he be giving Hank away?
Right.
Right.
I wouldn't.
Or other prized personal possessions, something that people cherish. If they're trying to put it in somebody else's hands for safekeeping, that means they're at risk of doing something.
Okay. That's good.
Putting affairs in order, all of a sudden they're kind of obsessed with tying up all the loose ends in their lives and writing notes to people that they've harmed and setting their karma straight. Maybe legal affairs or, things of that nature. Actively seeking out the means of suicide, firearms, pills,
right.
Access to those things that they normally don't show interest in.
Sure. If somebody buys a gun all of a sudden, but they don't hunt, they don't they're not into anything like that, and all of a sudden they buy a gun and then they're writing everybody letters, you might,
2 and 2 equals 4, and you need to at least ask the question, and we'll get into the questions to ask here in a second.
Okay, good.
Feeling hopeless, trapped. Somebody's constantly talking about how they have no way out. They don't know what to do. They feel trapped. Consistent trouble sleeping or eating, anxiety and agitation, a general feeling of no reason to live, increased drug and alcohol use, and withdrawing from friends and family.
Right.
So, I mean, I know that's a pretty long list, and one of those things.
Yeah, but
other than somebody coming out right and saying, "Hey, I'm going to commit suicide," other than one of those things, like, just kind of combining that picture together,
right.
Then you need to do something about it. And, what you need to do is not overly complicated. It's actually very simple. The hardest part is getting over your social discomfort with actually talking to people about suicide.
Yeah,
it's a very taboo subject. And
Sure.
so people don't want to come right out and be like, "Hey, you're my friend, and I'm worried that you want to commit suicide. Are you thinking about killing yourself?" People tend to tiptoe around.
Yeah, that's
around
like
that
a
question.
Conversation very few people have ever had.
What are you talking about? That was the first thing I asked Shane. I'm like, "Hey, my name's John. You thinking about committing suicide? Because I'm here to help you." That's what I do as a coach, trainer. I just ask everybody, "You thinking about committing suicide? Because I am here to help you."
I can help you.
Not
You're
a very
a weird
good
dude.
Conversation starter. Not a very good one. But I could see if you saw those signs,
Yes.
then definitely that would be a question that you should
Oh
ask.
yeah.
Yeah. So people tiptoe around that question. Hey, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Well, to a person who's made a plan and is ready to complete the act of suicide, maybe they don't consider it hurting themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe they consider, I'm pressing the escape hatch. Like, I'm out of here. Life is good.
I'm tired of suffering.
And you're
like-
also hurting all of those people that love you,
Yeah. So they may not consider it hurting. Like, you need to be direct and sensitive,
Of course.
but direct. Like, are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you thinking about committing suicide? And that's a hard thing to say to somebody,
Definitely.
but what that does is shows the person that you're talking to, like, "Hey, I've seen some uncomfortable things with you, and we need to talk about it." Whether or not you're actively thinking about committing suicide, I've seen some red flags, and we need to talk about it because I'm your friend and I care about you.
Yeah.
I care about your well-being. And that can open up the conversation and help that person express what's going on in their life and how they're feeling overwhelmed and overburdened and losing hope and don't see a way out. The next thing you can do with that person is, be the sounding board for them to, get their
feelings, emotions,
get their feelings off
yeah.
their chest,
Yeah,
to
for
unload themselves, and you don't have to carry that burden for them for long.
No,
You just need to carry it for them in that moment, so that they can put it down for a second
Yeah.
and get their head right and figure out a way to move forward.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Just a soundboard, things bounce off. You're not a piece of Velcro. You don't want to absorb all of that stuff and then make it stick.
Yeah,
not like a
that's-
sponge, right? You want
No.
you want to be a soundboard. You want it to, like, you're taking it in, letting them process it, and then it bounces off of you. So then you're not taking that in.
That's
and then both of you are relieved.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Whereas if you take on that person's pain as your own, now both of you are burdened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's,
that takes experience. It really does.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for people that you care about,
Well, that's a really good thing for telling people that are gonna confront or ask a person if they're considering suicide. That is a really great way to look at it. Like, you're just sorry.
you're fine.
It's all right, Shane.
So yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that.
Were you
That
gonna,
happens to me a lot.
Yeah, were you going to say something like maybe he was going to say something like this? So like